Hi, homeschool moms. It's Jenny and I both here today.
Hello, moms.
And today we're talking about homeschool style. What is that? We're not talking about wearing fancy clothes, okay? We're talking about why knowing your homeschool style is so important. We think it's worthy of discussing because it will help you make your days easier and more enjoyable so you can homeschool well.
If you don't know your style, you should find out. You can take our quiz at thehomeschoolwell.com/style, or you can just scroll down and get the link in our show notes. And while you're there, you can leave us a quick 5-star review too. We would really appreciate it. All right, let's get started. Hey, I'm Jenny Barr.
And I'm Kim Godfrey.
We're friends, former teachers, and homeschool moms ourselves who host the Homeschool Well podcast. We talk about topics that are important to homeschool moms so that you can be your child's best teacher.
So when Jenny and I started homeschooling, we tried to do traditional school at home because we were public school teachers, right, Jenny?
Yes.
It was ingrained in our mind. We were in the box. That's what I used to always say. I was in the box so much so I had a desk in the kitchen, like a real student desk that I found. I think it was a private school was going out of business. And I went there to buy books and I saw these desks and I'm like, oh, yes, we need one of those. It was like the modern kind, with the little cubby in there and everything. So legit, I put that in the kitchen. I had a lesson plan book and a grid for the month on the wall. And not that those are a bad thing, but I'm just saying it was more my mindset.
Right.
It doesn't matter what you have in front of
No.
you. It was my mindset was so in the box. If it was 8:35 or whatever time I knew that school was starting, I would physically start just getting these uncomfortable feelings like, oh my gosh, they've all been doing school for 10 minutes. She's still in bed. Oh my goodness, they've been doing school for an hour and we've only gotten one thing done. And I'm like driving myself mad. Just, it was ridiculous trying to fit in the traditional box of public schooling. People have said to us in the past, other moms, like, oh, you're so lucky. You were a teacher. You know exactly what to do. And I would say, no, you don't understand. It was not as much of a benefit as you would think because I had so much to unlearn,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
I had so much to modify and just trust and let go, right? Trust in letting go that how we were going to do things was going to look, it needed to look very different from traditional school. And I don't want to bash any homeschoolers that teach traditionally. And I think this next point will help. I was a teacher for kids who had mental handicaps and emotional handicaps. And my daughter did not. She did not fit the profile of my students. And so for me, that added another layer. So as time went on and I started to talk to other moms and be in circles with other homeschool families together and kind of see how they interacted, I think that's an important element, is that you can't be alone when you do this. You have to find other people. And then talk to the moms while the kids were playing on the playground about that whole burdened feeling of time, the time frame, like I was saying, oh, it's 8:30, oh, it's 10:30, we haven't done this like they are doing at the public school. And them telling me they're, hello, you're homeschooling. Like, come on, let's do the thing. Let's just let go of this whole framework that you think is so important because you have the opportunity to create this beautiful flexibility.
Right.
So the more I saw that going on in other families' lives, the more I understood that I didn't have to feel that way and I needed to make some changes. And I also needed to listen to my daughter. At the time, it was just my daughter I was schooling. I love when you say this, Jenny, and be a student of her.
Yeah,
because
be a student of your child.
yeah, and find out what really makes her tick. And especially because if I was comparing her in my mind to my students in my classroom, oh,
Right.
yes, I was doing her a severe disservice. And
Mhm.
so that was another light bulb that came into my mind was I can't teach her like I would teach my other kids, students. And I was trying to.
Mhm.
And I just remember one day having literally this light bulb going off in my head and like, wait a minute, this is not working the way that I'm trying to teach her. Like she is trying to tell me and I'm not listening. We're butting heads. So let it go and just listen to the child.
Yeah. And for me, I mean, I'm thinking about our household. My child wasn't talking to me because he's a boy, but he was acting out in ways that
Yeah.
I should have been listening to. And I'm trying to
Yeah.
cram traditional school into him, and we're butting heads. I'm getting so frustrated. I'm like ready to cry because he's not doing the work I'm telling him to do. And I have him sitting at this desk, right, or this table. And so for us, we were just battling all the time. I was setting all these
Oh,
timers and it was so
so
frustrating.
painful.
And actually, I've heard that twice this week from other homeschool moms that they're ready to quit because they're
Mm,
just battling their kids. They're taking so long. This should take 5 minutes. Why aren't they getting it? They're dragging it out, and you're just dealing with behaviors all day, and it's terrible. So for me, I mean, my kid was not compliant. He just was refusing to do work, and we were just going at it, and it was miserable. And I just thought, this is crazy. What am I took him out of school to get out of the box, and here I was
right.
cramming him in my little box at my house.
That
So
I think we need to repeat that. We took our kids out of
yeah,
school, right? We took our kids out of school because we wanted to take them out of the box. And here we are trying to cram them in our little box.
my own box. Yeah.
Woo!
Yes.
So we realized we needed to figure out what we call now, we didn't know it at the time,
No,
but
I didn't know.
our homeschool style. So
Right.
Jenny is going to give you some teaching points to this, and
Right.
you'll find out why it's just so amazing to learn your
Yeah.
homeschool style.
So it's just finding your own individual groove that works for you and your family. So we want to give you 3 questions to ask yourself when you're thinking about your style or the groove you want to be in. And we ask these same questions to our community members and mamas we coach too when they're dealing with these same issues that we just talked about. And number 1 is we ask, what do you want your ideal days to look like? So think about this when you have dreamy little thoughts, when you said, oh, I think I want to homeschool, or you took your kid out for a reason, like what did you imagine your days would look like? What is that movie that's playing in your head? You know, for me, I was like, oh, we're all just going to sit at my kitchen table and everyone's just going to do great. It's going to be awesome. They're just going to do what I say and we're just going to fly right through everything. That's what I had in my head. And then that had to change because, like I just said, we were battling. So you need to be thinking, what is your little dreamy idea of what homeschooling would look like? And then you're going to end up kind of going from there. That's going to be your springboard.
Then you have to like line that up with actual reality, and that
Right.
goes to the next point.
Yes, that's right. But as the homeschool mom, it is part your life too. So, you know, if you
Yes.
have an idea of how you want things to look, you do need to take that into consideration. But
Yes.
here's where we go. Point number 2
Right.
is to now consider if that vision actually works for you and your kids' personalities. So that may be your personality, but when you have to actually work with kids, that may not actually, that may not work. So, for example, I had a curious, rambunctious little 7-year-old who was not going to sit at the table all day and do writing and workbook pages and that kind of stuff. So I had to consider that, right? Or Kim, you had a girl who was a voracious reader who was very
Yes.
curious about things too. So your child was completely different than my child.
And she didn't want so much support. That's the light bulb moment that I had when she was in first grade. But she was so much of an independent learner, and I was in her way. It was
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, I need to remove myself from this
Not
actual
bad.
physical room because
Right.
I'm holding her back. Right. I'm trying to teach her too much. Right. Oh my goodness.
That makes me think too, because I had always worked with struggling readers.
Yes.
And then here I had a kid. Now, while he was very active, he loved to read and he could read well. And I'm like, here, let's read this together. And
yes,
he was just
exactly
like, oh my gosh, woman, get out of my face.
Right. Now for my son, I had to create ways, right? And so
Right.
this is also the part of it, mamas, is that when you have more than one kid, or even if you have one kid, and as they get older and move into different stages of development, you're constantly going to be looking back at this style, right? And kind of refining it to see how it matches the situation and the season of the life that you're in. Yeah. And it's like a fun thing, it's a good thing. You got to consider this a benefit to be able to, like Jenny says, right? What is it?
Be a student of your child. Observer. You're observing your child. Be an observer of your child. Be a student of your child and learn what kind of person they are, what kind of strengths they have.
And then just keep refining this style as you go.
Yeah. So that is point number 2, is just to consider your kids' personalities, what works for them, what they like to do, what kind of learner they are. And you're going to need to match a vision with their personalities and strengths and styles of your family, or else you all are going to be frustrated. So point number 3, now this is the last point. What materials or curriculum do you need to achieve this harmony of, number 1, your dreamy days, and number 2, the actual people who are in your house? What do you need to do to achieve this harmony where you mesh those together and you're using curriculum and materials? Have a great life and learn, right?
I love it.
So this kind of materials or curriculum could be hands-on type things where your kids are building things or putting together inventions or robots or whatever, or it could be field trips where you're in your mind, maybe you really wanted to be out a lot, like Kim was when she was doing homeschool. She was out and about a lot. Or maybe you need to get like an all-in-one curriculum because time is a factor right now and cost is not for you. So it just depends on your situation and where you are, and trying to find materials that are going to facilitate this life that you're trying to create here.
And one point I want to make about my my exploits, right? My homeschool adventures is that was a big part of our lives as our kids were younger. And as they got older, they really wanted to do like more structured school and more book work. I still did weave in all of the big experiences, and I loved anything that had a culminating like presentation or event or leadership skills, and that's why we loved 4-H so much. But I just remember both of them at some point said to me, Mom, I have to go do like real school. I got to go get my math done. I got to go get my whatever done. And like my son, as he started getting older, he really thrived on a daily list of things to do. It was like book work, and he wanted it on a list, and he wanted to be able to drive that list. So again, the style is going to change. You're going to come to a place, hopefully, where your kids do have more of a say. That's another passion of ours, right? Is that this is your child's education ultimately.
Yeah.
Right.
That's so true. Yeah.
Yeah. Can we bring up on our member call a few weeks ago where the mom was like, I love this reading curriculum. It's the best foundational thing. There was a word that she used, like she's very smart. So she used like the pedagogy.
Yeah.
She like ate that part up and it was going to be fantastic. But guess what? Right? What happened? Her son hated it.
Yeah. She said, he is not a middle-aged woman. I love it so much, but he is not a middle-aged woman and he does not love it so much.
And she already knows how to read. She's been to college.
Right.
So she doesn't need a reading program.
Right.
So anyway, it's something you're going to go through, right? We said to her, listen, this is great. This is a great experience. Don't feel like a failure because now you know more about his learning style and your homeschool style and what's not going to fit in these few years here. Maybe someday he'll get back into something like this, but right now it's not a good fit. And that's always an amazing thing to learn from something that doesn't work.
Right.
That's powerful.
So she backed off. I mean, the end of the story is they still are using it. I mean, I guess it's not the end of the story. And it has taught him amazing handwriting. She sends me his work and she's like, look at this. So that's a good thing. I said, well, that part definitely paid off, but they just seriously backed off. And now he's more intrinsically motivated to do it instead of someone pushing it on him all the time.
Yes.
Is what she's been sending me. Look at this. Look at what he did on his own today. It's amazing.
And not necessarily the curriculum part, but the concepts.
Yeah.
Right. So he's weaving out his own way of working through those concepts of reading, not with the curriculum that she loves so much, but it's transferring. He's applying the same knowledge and she sees it. And so that is a huge, powerful thing. Right. So you want to weave curriculum, the materials that you use in with the points from number 1 and 2, your dreamy vision and the reality of the children that you're teaching.
Right. So should we recap those again? All 3?
Yes. To recap, the 3 questions were, number 1, what do you want your ideal dreamy homeschool days to look like? Number 2, does that vision work for you and your kids' personalities and your lifestyle? And number 3, what materials and curriculum would assist in achieving that homeschool harmony in your family?
And if you enjoyed listening to this today and this was helpful for you, you can download our quiz with more specific questions that will help you find your homeschool style, or just book a discovery call with us on our website at thehomeschoolwell.com, and we can direct you as to what you should do next so that you can stop fighting with your kids and enjoy your homeschool days.
And remember this bit of scripture as you're trying to decide what will work best for your family. It's from James chapter 1, verse 5. If you need wisdom, ask our generous God, and he will give it to you. He will not rebuke you for asking.
Perfect. What a good verse for that. It's awesome. All right. Well, thanks for hanging out with us today, and we will see you next week. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Are you looking for a place to connect with other homeschool moms? Well, we have a platform where members gather to support each other throughout their homeschool journeys. Moms just like you. We even have a spot for your kids to interact online in privacy and safety. So head over there and start creating community. thehomeschoolwell.com.